Hi, this is Swapnil Bhartia and welcome to our special series of interviews for PrestoCon Day. And today we have with us two guests, Ori Rafael, co-founder and CEO of Upsolver, and Steven Mih, co-founder and CEO of Ahana. Ori, Steven, it's great to have you on the show.
Great to be here. Thanks, Swap.
Great to be here.
Ori, I will start with you. Can you please tell me quickly about Upsolver? What are you folks all about?
Upsolver maybe is the other side of the coin to what Ahana is doing. Companies want to work with a data lake to do analytics. And basically, I think the big advantage of a data lake is that you can decouple your storage from your compute side. So Ahana's side is taking care of querying the data. And Upsolver is about creating that store that engines like Ahana can then query. The challenge of building a lake is usually pretty complex on the engineering side. I come from a DBA background, so I faced that challenge myself, trying to work with a data lake, having to go through all the Spark and Hadoop hurdles and writing a lot of code. And Upsolver is basically giving a product for the people, the SQL practitioners of the world, to build a data lake without all of that engineering complexity. So 6 months turned into a day is what Upsolver is about.
Great. Thanks for explaining that. Steven, you are a regular on our show, so our audience already know what Ahana is all about. But I would give you an opportunity to quickly tell us about Ahana.
Ahana creates Ahana Cloud, which is the only managed service for Presto. And Presto, as Ori was mentioning, is the de facto standard SQL query engine created by Facebook and open sourced and hosted under the Linux Foundation. SQL, the query engines are really critical for analyzing data lakes. And we're excited about our partnership with Ori and Upsolver to really provide a very easy to use, high performance solution to analyze and prepare data and analyze data in data lakes with Ahana Cloud and Upsolver.
Excellent. Now let's break this partnership into two pieces. One is the business benefit and second is the developer or DevOps experience. So anyone, Ori or Steven, you can take. Let's start with the business benefit of this partnership. What does it look like for the customers from pure business perspective?
Companies are finding that more and more of their data is ending up in object stores like S3. AWS S3 just had their 15-year anniversary, and a big deal, 100 trillion objects in there. They have data talking about over 10,000 data lakes are out there, okay? S3 is very easy to use, inexpensive, infinite in scale, so that's really set a standard for storage. But studies show that companies only analyze 12% of their data. And as companies get more and more data-driven, they need to get access to that. But it's locked up in these siloed systems, expensive on-prem solutions, and incompatible data formats. And so what we are working on is a open data lake analytics solutions that help users unlock that data and therefore get the business benefits, data-driven insights that let them drive their business, make decisions better, or even end-user, customer-facing dashboards that let their solutions become better used.
One of the things that we've always been taught about analytics, think with what you want to achieve. But companies don't know what they want to achieve. They want to first store data, dump it on S3, and I'll know what I want to do later, and it's probably going to be a long process. So now we are giving the companies the ability to do just that. So you're storing the data on S3 very cheaply. Now, how long is it going to take me to actually check an hypothesis? So start doing analytics on top of that data. The combination of Upsolver and Ahana is pretty much, you can do it on the same day. So now the high price of engineering that prevented this approach from succeeding, that problem that no longer exists. And I think that's the real business benefit.
Adding to that, right, Ahana and Upsolver have an end-to-end cloud native solution for those open data lake analytics. And now customers can get that value very quickly and affordably without having to maintain Spark-based data pipelines or manage complex queries or distributed systems themselves. And so over time, what that means long term is that they'll get much more analytic agility and productionize more new use cases in days rather than months.
Do you want to get into the weeds of the technical aspect of this? How does it look from a developer's perspective?
think of the world of data warehouses and data lakes. So I used to work, I have ease of use in data warehouses, and I had the advantages of cost and openness in lakes. But a lot of engineering. So first, when we said that, and that ties to the business benefit, we solve the ease of use. No IT and actually no DBA work needs to be done, and you can do your analytics on stored raw data on the same day. So the technical aspect of it, the technical benefits is that you're SQL end-to-end, start to end. You can only use you're using SQL or a visual interface. That's one big advantage. I think the other that was really hard to get done is performance. So the reason people build databases is because it's hard to get performance from a raw file system. And for example, AWS has this blog, top 10 performance tuning tips for when you're querying data from lakes. And they're talking about how you're storing data. And that's low-level stuff, file sizes, file formats, compression, all of that. So every user needs to re-implement the database for their lake. Probably not. So Upsolver provides all of that out of the box. And when you're adding a fast query engine like Presto on top, now you're getting the data warehouse performance, but you're getting it with all the advantages of a lake. So ease of use and performance are probably the two biggest technical advantages that you have here.
What Ahana Cloud provides is the ease of use. Presto has over 100 configuration parameters that make it great, but not everybody wants to go through all the tuning associated with it. And then there's the integration with the rest of the solution, which includes you need to have a metadata catalog, and also need to have your visualization or other CLIs along with it. And so in literally minutes, like you can do with a data warehouse, you can now get an open data lake solution with the combination of Upsolver and Ahana Cloud.
If I'm not wrong, both companies are also organizing a joint lab, which is, I think, happening on March 23rd. Can you talk about what is the focus of that lab?
Yeah, so we're excited to showcase the joint solution of Upsolver and Ahana Cloud. And this is really designed to help folks get hands-on experience with an instructor that's there. People are a little tired of just following along on-demand video. But in this 3-hour hands-on lab, you get to create a streaming data source from S3, ingest the data into Upsolver, and then with Ahana Cloud, query your data across the different data sources using Presto. And we invite all the data engineering and data teams that would like to learn how to do this and walk away with a really powerful, easy-to-use solution. So it's free to register. And Ori, would you like to add more?
No, I think you've pretty much said everything. I like to look at it as proof day. So you can say ease of use and same day a lot of times, but you need to prove it. So basically, the lab day is our chance to prove it to users and let them put their hands on the keyboard and see that it actually works as promised.
Just a day after this lab, there is PrestoCon day. Of course, we all know how Ahana is participating, but Ori, can you just share with us how is Upsolver participating in the event, and what are the activities that you are personally excited about? That what are the sessions that not only you would want to watch yourself, but you would recommend us to watch too?
Well, Upsolver is, of course, sponsoring the event. We are all in on Presto, that's for sure. And we definitely want to see Presto as the main query engine for querying data out of data lakes. So that's why we are sponsoring the event. That's why I'm personally speaking at the event, and we're going to continue talking about the importance of open data lake as the next architecture. I feel that any session that involves customers sharing how they're using Presto, how they will manage to succeed in basically implementing a data warehouse with a data lake economics is a good session to hear, and seeing that the daemon is not that bad. It's not really as hard as it used to be in the Hadoop days. Now the cloud allows it to do everything much easier. So I would just look at the customer events and choose this.
Ori, one more question I have for you. First of all, I would like to quickly know, how do you see the evolution of Presto over years? a very booming, very vibrant community is growing around the project, but there are still a lot of gaps that are there, when we look at solving users' problems. So can you talk about quickly the evolution and where you still see some gaps, where you still see some pain points that the community, of course, you'll be discussing at the event, but you also look at solving those problems?
I think that one big two areas that are kind of related is the ability to run DML. So DML insert, updates, and delete. So let me change what's going on right now within the lake. And that's taking us away from pure append-only use cases, because data lake is basically a time series storage. But people have use cases where they need updates and deletes, and they do it in a data warehouse. As long as we don't have it in lakes, then you're missing out on some of the use cases. So Upsolver is already solving the ability to update and delete lake. I know the query engines are adding capabilities like DML. We are going to add that from the building side of the lake as well. So I think that mutability is a really big topic. And I think the other topic might be performance. But when I say performance, I'm talking about the dashboard that needs a very low latency type of query time that hasn't been, let's say, easy to do. And these queries, but the query engines are moving so fast from year to year. So I think this is a very short-term gap.
Can you talk about the open aspect of Presto ecosystem, where it's not just about open source technologies, but it's also an open ecosystem where not only players like you are collaborating, but it's also beneficial for users. They can move wherever they want to move.
The Presto Foundation is open to everyone, and that's why Upsolver and Ahana are premier members of that. And it's based on the open source software, which does provide less lock-in than, say, a data warehouse solution. But when we say open data lake analytics, that's also referring to things like the open data formats. If you have an open data format like ORC or Parquet, now you can run any number of compute engines that you'd like to have on that. And that is very important when you start to future-proof what your data analytics platform is. Now, I think, Ori, maybe you can add more. What does openness mean to you and to your customers?
Yeah, I think we mentioned the Ahana piece and the Upsolver piece of this story, but the cloud provider plays a major piece because the cloud provider is the store. We are putting open source file formats on that cloud. We are using the cloud agreed upon metadata stores. So you can actually use Ahana and multiple query engine on the same copy of the data. So you're not, the transition cost between engines is very, very low. And kind of maybe testifying for my personal pain, I used to be a DBA working with Oracle and SQL Server. And like I would do everything to solve my use case in Oracle because the cost of replicating that data to another database would be much more painful than just kind of trying to force Oracle to do that use case. So now you have open source file format. Now I can use multiple engines. I'm no longer married to a database vendor. So the moment you choose a vendor specific format, you are married to that vendor. It's still okay to use these vendors, but I would always keep my organizational data in a data lake and maybe to put a portion of it in a data store that I really like, but then I'm not being locked in the same way we did before. Kind of no real need to make that mistake again. That the Oracle run was enough.
Thanks for talking about PrestoCon, and we're looking for those sessions. Steve, from your perspective, tell us the importance of PrestoCon days, because we will have a PrestoCon later this year, but this is PrestoCon days, half day, 1 day event. Talk about the event a bit, and what are the things that you are looking forward to?
Yeah, so it's great to get the community together. This is really the second largest Presto event of the year. PrestoCon is typically in September. This is now happening next week. I'm looking forward to hearing about these web scale industry leaders, Facebook, Uber, Twitter, all of the advancements that they're making with Presto that is being provided back into the open source. As well as there's a number of smaller modern SaaS companies that will be talking about how they're using Presto today. And we have a customer talking about Ahana Cloud, and we're excited about that too. So it's going to be just a great day for the community to come together, connect, meet, and we just can't tell you how excited we are.
Ori, Steven, thank you so much for taking your time out today and talk about not only this partnership collaboration, but also that the focus is it goes beyond just open source code. It's also about building an open ecosystem, which is creating level playing field for everybody, and also making sure that vendors are not logged in as a problem. Ori, you mentioned there, and we are all looking forward to attending PrestoCon next week. Once again, thank you, and I look forward to talk to you again.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you, Swap.
Thank you for having
Thanks
us.
for having us.